of covenant and the faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you said. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this SafeHouse webinar. I will just want us to enjoy some more music while we wait for more people to join.
If we don't see those Rwanda flags crossing, taking off before the election.
Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Oh, great is your faithfulness. To me, solid foundation. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, yeah. 'Cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He's not gonna fail me. He's not gonna fail me. He won't, no, no, no.
I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. No, I'm not held by my own strength. 'Cause I built my life on Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I think at this moment we should make a start. I want to use this opportunity to welcome everyone to this webinar, Winning in the Land. It's a webinar by SafeHouse Faith Family, which is domiciled in Coventry. SafeHouse Faith Family is an offshoot of International Chapel Coventry, and it's a safe place for students and young professionals who just relocated, and the essence is to create a safe space for everyone where everyone is somebody. Before we make a start, I would just want to reel out the housekeeping rules. Please mute your mics when you are not talking. Also, if you have questions or any comments, please use the chats function. And before you do that, please, if you have to speak, raise your hand, and most importantly, please stay engaged as we make a start. So I will do a brief introduction of our speaker, and he will, after which he will just share with us some insights, and then we will have opportunity to ask questions, and he will be able to give us some of his answers and share the experience. So once again, we're welcoming everyone to this webinar and Winning in the Land. My name is Moyo Awuyoko, and I'll be your moderator today. We all know relocating to a new country is a significant and challenging journey. And as international students and professionals alike, many of you are navigating, the cultural landscape, understanding, different professional environments, and also striving to build successful career, business far from home. And you might be facing quite some challenges, like adapting to the UK work culture, building professional network from the scratch, and also finding job opportunities that match your qualification, and balancing professional lives with your personal lives. And these are real pains and real and pressing pain points for a lot of us, and it can be overwhelming. So today we'll be fortunate to have with us Councillor Biyi Oloko, who is a distinguished leader with over 45 years experience in the UK, be it in business, in politics, and in his career. So he has walked the path you and I are in now, and is here to share his insights and strategies to help you not just survive, but thrive in your new home. So I would just want us to join us to stay engaged as we embark on this journey to thrive in the land. So a brief before I bring up our speaker, Councillor Biyi Oloko. Okay, so let me just if you give me a moment to bring this up. Okay. If you're not speaking, it's good if you can mute your mic. As part of the housekeeping rules. So I'll just give a brief about the profile of Mr. Oloko, and it would be sure to expand on that. Is a counselor and also is a chartered accountant and president-elect of Thames Valley District Society of Chartered Accountants, treasurer and trustee, Commonwealth Society of Pharmacists. Is also a vice chairman, Institute of Director, African Group, and an elected member of West Berkshire Council and Freeman of the City of London. Is a husband, a father, and a grandfather. He will share with us the experiences of his 45-year journey. And with that, I want to say thank you again for joining us, and let us dive into this session. And if you can still share for your friends and connect with them that we are live so that they can stay connected. So I would like to invite Councillor Biyi Oloko.
Right. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. In fact, it's more than a pleasure. It's actually an honor that when people want to listen to your life experiences, it's quite humbling. So thank you all for showing up to try to listen to me. It will help to just get a sense of where you are, and maybe you can just type in the chat, a little bit about yourself, where you are, if you're a student, what you're studying, so we can make this as interactive and as exciting as possible. If you're giving up your Saturday morning to come and listen to me, at least let's have some fun. I'll try not to say too much because I think it's better for this to be interactive and for people to ask questions. So if you don't have any questions to ask, then this webinar will be the shortest webinar you've ever visited. You've ever attended. But if you want to get more out of it, I'll let you know, or maybe come back to you with an answer. So I want to thank the SafeHouse team for providing this opportunity to share my experiences with you. So I will just do a very brief talk. I'll keep it as short, as brief as possible, because this thing can never be as comprehensive as possible. We can't pack 45 years of one's life into 5 minutes. So I'll just stop and tell it, and then we'll go from there. So when you hear 45 years, I still remember back in the day when you tell you about some uncle who has been in England for 40 years, and you think to yourself, gosh, for those of you who could speak Yoruba, you say, the man is lost, or that person has been in that country that long. Oh my gosh. So now when you stand here, or this point in time, and you look back and you think, wow. So it's quite a humbling experience to now realize that you're one of those people that people will be thinking about. Oh my gosh, that man, 45 years. I wasn't even born when he came to this country. I digress slightly. I remember when I went to visit my former secondary school, where I did my A levels, somewhere in Hereford. And when I told them, when I got there and I told them the year that I left the school, they just looked at me like I was a kind of a dinosaur. This ancient man has just come here. I hope you can all hear me, so it will be good to get a thumbs up if you can hear me. Right. So like I said, let's make this as interactive as possible. Use the use the reactions, use the chat box, say things. Don't just be silent, and don't go and be watching Bridgerton or something and put me on mute whilst you're doing other things, because I can see you, well, I can't, but you know what I mean. So thank you, Moyo, for the introduction again. So as I said, I'm a councillor here in West Berkshire. West Berkshire, for those of you who don't know West Berkshire, and I haven't seen anything in the chat about where people are, so I don't know people's location. So it'll be good again to know where people are coming from. I think Moyo, I don't know, Moyo, where are you? Are you in Coventry? So Moyo is in Coventry, right? Okay, so you're just up the road, just up the M40. We are down by the M4. So what I tell people is that to come to Berkshire and then to come to West Berkshire, when you come out of Heathrow, I hope all of you have flown through Heathrow, well, Heathrow or Gatwick, but when you get to Heathrow, you live in Heathrow, at that M4 roundabout or the motorway roundabout, you can either turn left or turn right. If you turn right, you're heading towards London. If you turn left, you're heading towards the M25, and then you can carry straight on the M4. So what I tell people is that if you're coming by plane and you board your plane, you can either turn left or you can turn right. Now, I think everyone's aspiration is to be able to turn left when you board the plane, especially if you're boarding from the center of the plane, which tends to happen a lot these days. So if you turn right, you go to economy. If you turn left, you go into the premium cabin. So if you want to have a premium experience, when you come out of Heathrow, just turn left and come to Berkshire, because you're guaranteed a premium experience. And so that's my introduction for Berkshire. West Berkshire is junction 12 and junction 13 of the M4. And incidentally, you will turn at junction 13 to go along the A34 to get onto the M40 that will take you towards Coventry. So Coventry is probably about an hour and a half or so away from us here, to those of you who are in Coventry. And Nana from South Korea. Wow. I'm impressed. I don't know, what's the time in South Korea? You must be, I think you're ahead. You must be ahead of us. So it's probably about afternoon time in South Korea. So you're welcome. There's someone who's connected from Abuja. We're on the same time. You're welcome. It'll also be useful to kind of just get a sense of what you're doing, where you are, if you're a student or if you're working, because it will help to color our discussions and color my chat to you, because I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say so much, but one thing that occurred to me yesterday, whilst I was just thinking a bit about this, is that I think you have to look at this as an opportunity to make a difference. If you're interested to hear what I've done over the past 45 years, then you must be interested to make a difference. And I think if I borrow from the Bible, because the Bible is the most powerful book, and Isaiah 60, which says, particularly the first chapter of Isaiah 60, it says, arise. If I paraphrase the NLT version, which says, arise, Jerusalem, let your light shine for all to see, for the glory of the Lord rises to shine on you. So imagine you say this to yourself every day, whatever your name is. You say, my name is Akimbi. So I say, arise, Akimbi, let your light shine for all to see, for the glory of the Lord rises on you, to shine on you. So that means every day you have a chance to shine. That means that every day you have an opportunity to make a difference. So you have chosen today, you have chosen to use this as an opportunity to make a difference. Because when Moyo was reeling out those offices, they didn't happen by chance. It was a deliberate act, a deliberate action to actually attain those offices. And I wish I had thought about that 20 years ago, because then that would have been more powerful. But they say the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is now. So that's why I say to you that you arise and shine, because your light has come. Today you have the opportunity to make a difference. So I became a counselor really because I wanted to make a difference. I became the vice chair for the IOD Institute of Directors Africa Group, because we wanted to be in an organization that could make a difference. And the Institute of Directors, it's a membership organization. And we were focused on what we can do for Africa, what we can do with Nigeria, but primarily Africa, but Nigeria is my home country. So there's always that leaning towards Nigeria. And the Institute of Directors didn't have an Africa group. So this is the first time they've had such a thing. And I'm the vice chair. There's a gentleman called Yinka Popola, who is the chair. So I'm the incoming president or president-elect for the Thames Valley District Society of Chartered Accountants. So that says that I'm a chartered accountant. Again, that was an intentional thing. I wanted to be involved in an organization, a professional body that one could use to make a difference. And then I became a trustee for the Pharmacists, Commonwealth Pharmacists Association, because I wanted to do something that could help with healthcare in our continent, and also, like I said, leaning towards my home country. And I was opportuned or favored to become the treasurer for the CPA, which is the Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. And actually, I'm the first non-pharmacist to hold that post. All the previous holders of that post have been accountants. And we look after, I see somebody's joining from Thatcham. That's fantastic. So you're in my council. So I hope you pay your rates on time. You're a coach and a consultant seeking how to penetrate the UK market. Well, you're in my area, so please get in touch, because there's councils do a lot and there's always opportunities there. So please get in touch. We can talk about that. So yes, so my advice or the action, the call to action from what I just said is that you have to be deliberate. You have to be clear about what you want out of life. I tell my children that you must think in 5-year cycles. And every year you review your 5-year plan. Because let me tell you, when I came to this country, I was 15. And if you add 45 to that, that means I'm 60. So you can imagine when somebody has said to me, then think in 5-year cycles, you'll be thinking, what's this person talking about? Please let me enjoy my life. But let me tell you, life happens. And before you know it, you'll be here. So some of you will be in this position by God's grace in 45 years' time. You also be sharing your experiences, and you remember that somebody told you because, we'll probably be gone by then, because 105, if Jesus tarries, they may still be around, but you never know. But I certainly will be on a webinar at 105, listening to this or still speaking like this, So, please, the call to action every day as an opportunity to make a difference, shine on you. Take every day as an opportunity to make an impact. Every day you wake up, God is giving you another chance to make a difference. So what do you want to do to make a difference? Mr. Michael Anthony, you're in Tacham. Have you ever thought of joining or becoming a counselor? It's possible. The person in Korea, Nana, is she Nana in Korea? Interestingly enough, my goddaughter is actually in South Korea now. She lives there. And so it's quite interesting, because I was talking to the dad the other day, and he's on his way to South Korea as well. So there must be something happening in South Korea. So the people in Abuja will continue to pray for you guys out there, because Nigeria, we need a lot of prayer out there at the moment. But it'll be interesting to know what you're doing in Abuja. So again, look at this opportunity as an opportunity to connect. So I'm connecting with you guys. I hope you'll connect with me, because you're the young ones or the younger ones. I don't know if there's anybody here who's older than I am. So I'm beyond this webinar, please feel free to reach out. If I can help, I can help. If I can't, if I'm able to signpost you to where help is, then I'll be glad to do so. But please reach out. There's Ike connecting from Sidcup in Kent. Currently job hunting. What area are you job hunting? Because job hunting covers a lot. So I've told you a bit about where I am now, about being deliberate. So how did I get here? There's an experience that has birthed. How do we connect? I'll put my email in the chat, so you can reach out to me that way. I hope that's okay, SafeHouse, to share my contact details. Is that okay?
That's very fine, sir.
All right, okay. So when I first came to this country, and I'll tell you one thing, Pastor Teju may not remember this, but I wasn't supposed to come to England. When I finished my O-levels, I went to government college, that prestigious school in Nigeria, #1 secondary school. There's no other that comes close. So all of you, if you didn't go to GCI, well, I'm sorry for you. You can't change that now, but you can benefit from somebody who went there. And my intention was to go to, and Pastor Teju will laugh now, to go to ISI, where she went to do my A-levels, and then go to either Unilag or maybe Ibadan. Certainly not Ife, because those Ife people were just party people, so didn't want to be driving between Ife, going to somebody's car and driving late at night, partying from Ife to Lagos. So, but the way things go, I didn't make it to ISI. I came back from Ibadan one day, and within a week, I'd been shipped out to England. So that was not in my fight. Mo, you're saying great Ife. Well, I was waiting for somebody to use that, Please, can you delete him from the webinar? Okay, he's the host, so we can't remove him. That's all right. So I was shipped out to England. So it wasn't in my 5-year plan at the time. Not that I had a 5-year plan, but I ended up here. But so the other side, went to Lula. Okay, all right. I almost went to Lula, but I was saved. So there you go. We had already paid. The GCI results came back after that. And my father shipped me off to GCI. So you never know, could have been in Loyola. But some great people went to Loyola as well. I think Mike Adenuga went to Loyola. No, he went to Ibadan Grammar School. Who went to Loyola now? So what they said, so when I came to England, and whilst I thought it was, this is just by chance, but actually, this is where I met my wife, and we were neighbors in Ibadan, and we did never met. And it wasn't until we got to University in Newcastle that we met. So that move was actually part of an ordained plan of God. It was destiny that actually shipped me from Nigeria to England. And for her too, she was planning to go to Ife at the time. So, well, I guess she probably was going to be a party animal, but she ended up in Newcastle. And that's how we met. So some events happen that are beyond your control, but you have to be sensitive in the spirit to what it means. That's one thing I've learned in my experience to date, is that you must pause and reflect on why things are happening to you the way they are, and look for the what you can look for the cloud or the silver lining in whatever cloud you think it is. I didn't have the opportunity to, I didn't have the benefit of this kind of experience. And but nonetheless, I think I'm very happy to share and pass on some of my knowledge. So I came here, did my A levels, went on to University in Newcastle, and then I trained as an accountant. Now, this is where you talk about, for those of you who are here, those of you who are aspiring, sometimes you need to pivot to get to where you want to, but you've got to stay focused on your goal. I was very clear that I wanted to be a chartered accountant. There was no doubt about that. But when I left University of Newcastle, back in those days, for you to be a chartered accountant, you had to have what we call a training contract with an accounting firm. And if you didn't have a training contract, you could never become a chartered accountant. So when I left Newcastle, I didn't have a training contract. So I felt that my dreams, my aspirations, my hopes were being dashed, but I didn't give up. So I went to become a certified accountant, which was open to anyone with the right skills or qualifications. And that becoming a certified accountant, for those who are in the profession, that's the ACCA. You can take those exams full-time on a full-time basis as a student, and then you can gain your 3 years required experience afterwards. So I then chose to go and do my certified, hoping and expecting that by the time I have finished my certified exams, I would be able to still get a training contract and then come back in to become a chartered accountant. So from Newcastle, I went to what back then is called the Newcastle Polytechnic, and it's now called University of Northumbria University. And then from there, I went to what was called Trent Polytechnic. Now, that was another deliberate action. Going to Trent Polytechnic to finish off my certified exams was because they had 100% pass rate. But it was one of the most difficult institutions to get into because of that. So one had to prepare heavily to get into that. And I was fortunate enough to get in. Now, what was the key attribute of Trent Polytechnic? Because you would wonder, why was Trent Polytechnic so successful? Because the lecturers in Trent Polytechnic were also the examiners. They set the questions. So if you look at when you're preparing for the exams and you go and look at the past question papers in Trent Polytechnic back then, you would see a lot of the questions in ACCA section. True story. They would not change one or two words, but you were guaranteed to see exam questions. So all you had to do was practice those exams. And I practiced a lot of the exams in Newcastle Polytechnic. You go to the library, get the past papers, and you practice it. And thankfully, I passed. So ACCA full-time in the bag. Now the pursuit of the ACA to become chartered, because remember what I said, that was the drive. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I was able to get a training contract in Brighton. So my journey has taken me from Lagos to London, London to Hereford, which is where I did my A levels, Hereford to Newcastle, Newcastle to Nottingham, Nottingham to Brighton. So sometimes that's what I said, that you got to know what you want. You have to stay focused. You have to be deliberate, and you need to move. You know, the Bible tells us about, those who moved. Sometimes God will tell you to tarry, but sometimes He will tell you to move. So, and I moved to Brighton, and I got into this firm. And what then happened was a big London firm called Moores Rowland then bought us out, and I was transferred to London. So at last, I had achieved my objective to be a chartered accountant training in the city of London. And I felt, I had arrived, but the journey just began, because I have to now do the work to become a chartered accountant, and it was tough, but thankfully I got through that. So I'm saying this to those of you who are looking for work, who have just graduated, is that you stay focused on your goals. Sometimes you need to move and be ready to move. Thankfully, I wasn't married, but my wife now, she was in the picture all the time and supported me throughout. So for those of you who are not married, if you have, you make sure you keep them in the picture, because that blessing that comes from that relationship is, you cannot underestimate it. To have somebody to share your plans and aspirations is just one of those things. So from London, I then moved to Reading. And how did I end up in Reading? Because my wife then I was always working with the Prudential in Reading. And to those you women in the group, you always know how, you always have this way to draw your men to wherever you are. So that's how I now ended up in Reading. And when you look at all those things that I've achieved, I achieved that because my wife came to Reading. I moved to Reading. I met my wife in Newcastle. My dad sent me to the UK. And today I have all those offices out of this location. So your location is also very important, because that's where your blessing comes from. Now, that's not to say that there are no trials, travails, obstacles on the way. There are many. I'm not going to talk about them, but you just have to overcome. There's just no way. Some of the questions, to those of you who engage, I might be able to answer some questions. We are interested to see what kind of questions. But the primary obstacle, which is the elephant in the room, is the color, is racism, is discrimination. And it's very real. It's even till today, it's very real. Anybody who's kind of followed me or might have picked up some information is that I have an ongoing battle with the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading, where after 45 years in this country, I was classified as an overseas visitor and not entitled to free NHS. So again, that was a discriminatory act which had no basis at all, and that is running through its natural causes. But with racism, discrimination, you have to just stay focused on your objective. There's a friend of mine, so I'm saying this to those of you who experience it and maybe become disheartened. You can't afford to be. You must stay focused on your objective. You must call into play your 5-year plan, and you cannot allow this to derail you, because there are other things that can derail that plan if you don't stay focused on it. And racism, discrimination is the elephant in the room. Sometimes you think it's insurmountable, but it's not. You just have to stay focused. Sometimes you have to grin and bear it, but you remember to stay focused in in doing that. I can talk about different things that's happened along the way in terms of discrimination. You know, this is 2024. It's a bit different now. I'm going back to the 1980s, the 1990s, where, you know, it was still been, you know, it was a different ball game. When we first came to Reading, right? I don't think, probably percentage-wise, if you add all the ethnic minorities together in Reading, probably less than 5%. Today, 2024, it's almost 50%. So you can see the shift. But even at that, as you go higher up the ladder of career of business, the color bar changes. It takes a different look. You see a lot of ethnic minorities, Black people, Asian, lower down. But as you get into the C-suite, the numbers change significantly. So, but you got to stay focused. You also must have an entrepreneurial spirit. There is a lot of value in wealth creation. If you create wealth in your environment, if you make an impact in your environment, then they would listen to you. If I hadn't had a role as a counselor in the UK, if I didn't understand the governance structures and how to play that game, Royal Berkshire would have run roughshod over me. You know, they would have just done what they've done, and I would end up without free NHS in a country where one is entitled to it. So you have to be very intentional about, you've got to learn, you've got to read, you've got to understand. You've got to be relevant in your community. And being relevant in your community is as little as being a school governor. For those of you who can be a school governor, there's a lot of schools. Most of the schools are looking for school governors. You can start that journey. You can become a parish councillor. For those of you who are live in parishes or town councils, if you're close enough, or if you get involved, they can co-opt you into those institutions, or they can appoint you. But you must show an interest, because these are the structures that have been put in place in this country to rule in this country. Those structures are real. The school governor, the parish council, the district council, the central government, they're very real structures. And those are the structures that define what we do in this country. So if you're not part of it, you're excluded. So please, wherever you are in the UK, I'm talking to those in the UK now, whether you're employed or not, find a school around you that needs a school governor and be part of it. Get that experience. You'll broaden your network, and you begin to make an impact. People will know you. Decisions are made about you when you're not in the room. And those people who make decisions about you need to know about you, so that when that time comes for decision making, they can make that decision in your favor. There's somebody here who says Wale is a great alcoholic. Okay, Coventry Business School, Trade MBA, and he's in the civil service in the UK. Fantastic. We should connect. What are you doing in the civil service? It'll be interesting to see, to get a sense of what you're doing and how we can share experiences. Because the civil servants are the ones who actually run the country. And Wale will not disagree with that. The politicians come, spend 4 years, but it's the civil servants who are in for life, or who make things happen. So again, I'm glad you're in the civil service. I'll be interested to know what you do there. You're in Coventry as well. So that is good. And so I will pause here. I've just given you a whistle-stop tour of my experience. I've shown to you, or I've just shared with you how I moved across the UK. And what I would just add to that is that period is interspersed with spending 7 years serving the Oyo State government. So, and how did that happen? Some of you are wondering. Well, I worked for a firm called Ernst & Young, EY as it's now known, one of the big four. And I was sent to Nigeria to help build the Nigerian practice. And when I got to Nigeria, after about a year, I was seconded to the cabinet office of the governor of Oyo State. and I served him of blessed memory, Governor Jimobi, RIP. And I served him 2 times on 2 terms. The first term, I was a special advisor for budget and planning. And the second term, I was the chair for the Internal Revenue Board. To those of you who are thinking, stop that. There was nothing like that. I did my job. I did it proudly. And towards the tail end of my tenure, the governor and I had a difference of opinion, and I left. Because I think sometimes you've got to stand for what you believe. And then I came back to the UK, and post-COVID is when those offices that Moyo kindly mentioned is when I attained those offices. Now, those offices are service offices. They're not paid positions. So another thing you have to understand in this country, to those who are in the UK, is that the power of this country sits in those who serve the country. The free man of the City of London can sound very wonderful, but the current ethos or principles of that assignation, if you like, is about service. So we spend a lot of time talking about what we can do and how we can make an impact. Now, I could talk to you about the City of London, because you may, actually, I'll just take a brief moment to talk to you about why the City of London is very relevant in the world. It's a global center, financial, for the world. We all know that. It's a square mile. The City of London is, we call it the square mile, right? That square mile has a separate government. And it has the government of the City of London is headed by the Lord Mayor, not Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan is Greater London. The City of London, the square mile, is led by the Lord Mayor. The office of the Lord Mayor is a voluntary office. It has a house, the mansion house, it lives there, but it's to just underpin what I said about service. That great offices, service is where your connections are made and is where money is made. Because that square mile, there's no dollar that moves in this world that will not pass through the City of London, either through a lawyer's desk, a banker's desk, an accountant's desk, or any other advisor. It must pass through the City of London. So for you to be a free man of the City of London, you have to be either a guild member, or you have to be a member of one of the liveries. Now, the liveries, again, are institutions that some of you may or may not have heard about. But the liveries, the history of the City of London is that when Britain went and conquered the rest of the world, if they needed to fund ships, the ships that go out, they would meet in coffee shops. So the City of London is sometimes called the City of Coffee Shops, because they would meet in coffee shops. And, you know, just like we're on this webinar, someone will say, look, I want to go on this trip to some country. There's no internet or anything like that. You don't know whether the ship is going to come back. And they put money together for the guy to go out on the ship to go to some country, India, Africa, wherever, to come back with cargo that can then be sold, and they will share the proceeds. So if you go around City of London, you'll see that there's a lot of restaurants, coffee shops. This is how they met, and they made decisions, and they began to make money. So this is very relevant, because the liveries are then groupings of different trades. So you'd have those who make clothes, those who do steel, those who are accountants, worship. I would advise people to just go and study and have a read to understand really what makes the City of London tick, right? The City of London is driven by the liveries Because for you to be able to vote in the City of London, you have to either live or work in the City of London. And for you to attain the office of a councillor in the City of London, you need to be a livery member, but not entirely 100% now, because, and that livery organization is apolitical. But like everything in life, politics has become a part of it. So some political parties are started to sneak into the government of the City of London. But the City of London it's really like a local government, but it happens to be a very, very rich local government. They have funded a lot of big schools, City of London schools. They have land right across London and beyond, very wealthy. They have hospitals. So please, we don't have too much time here. So I would ask people to just go and understand what makes the City of London tick. Because when you understand what makes the City of London tick, you have a better insight into how to plan your next 5 years and beyond. Yes, civil. Yeah. No. Wale, I don't agree with you. That's a civil servant speak. Now politicians influence how they run it. But we'll talk about that. That's not for today's discussion. Bukola, welcome, an experienced mental health practitioner. You're also in Coventry. Coventry seems to be blessed with very capable people. But I wonder how many of you are involved in any governance aspect in your area. Please get involved. And I will stop at that point and I will invite some questions. And let's please be as interactive as possible. And I hope I've given you some kind of a snapshot as best as I can. And really, it is a snapshot. I'll invite questions. I'll hand over to Moyo now to, further guide the proceedings. So, but before I go off, because I'd like to just say where you are or where you're going to be is a function of what you see. It's important to have a very clear vision in your mind's eye. You need to see it. If you haven't seen it, you have to go and pray for it. Because without a vision, you'll just be aimless. You'll be wandering aimlessly across the country, across wherever you are. So please, you need to see it in your mind's eye. The things that I've spoken to you about post probably my university years, I would say, is when I started to have kind of a vision for where and what I want to do, having qualified as a chartered accountant. So please, if there's nothing else you take from here, have that clear vision and review every 5 years. Have a 5-year plan and have a clear vision. It will work for you, guaranteed, because life is cyclical. It's up and down. So there will be ups, there will be downs. But when you have a plan, when you have a vision, and when you're focused, you will always get there. So I'll hand back to Moyo to continue to moderate the proceedings. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
Not at all, sir. That was very, very insightful. I personally had a lot of takeaways. One that stood out for me is having a clear vision and thinking in 5-year cycle. And I must also agree regarding the elephant in the room that you mentioned, because one of the things I also want to gain from this session is about navigating to leadership. I work in healthcare, I work in NHS as a business change manager. But I also realized that, the C-suite is not as diverse as every other person. Why? So one of the questions is, okay, what can, I do, or, as a person of color, and what can I do? How can I approach, the journey? Because I aspire for leadership as well. What can I do? And then how can I navigate that to leadership, and also what's the importance of mentoring in trying to, get advancement in the NHS leadership?
Okay. Firstly, let me tackle the elephant in the room. My first thing I was going to say is know what you carry. So what does that mean? That means you've got to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll go nowhere, because there's enough challenges out there. So the first thing is believe in yourself and invest in yourself and empower yourself with knowledge. Very, very important, because that's what will stand you in good stead. Typically, right, because of our slave history, we, for our ancestors to have been enslaved the way they had to have been dehumanized. Because how else can you take somebody from their own homeland, padlock their mouth, chain them, and take them thousands of miles away and treat them like animals? They had to have dehumanized them, taken away their humanity. There's a program, 2 programs, I think, for those of you who are, I think, on Sky or Netflix. And I think one of them is Shashore's program on the journey, I think the journey of the colony. And the other one is about Africa, which has Obasanjo in it. The names escape me just now, but those 2 gives you some insight. And for those of you who recently, Michael Palin was in Nigeria on Channel 5. There's a program on Channel 5. I would urge you to watch it. All those 3 things that I mentioned, I would really urge you to watch it. Then I would also urge you to go onto Amazon if you can and understand and watch, the history of China, how China became rich. China's transformation is in 40 years. And I'll tell you why all of this is relevant. In 1978, China was as poor as Malawi, Tanzania, and I think it was Uganda. And anyways, 3 African countries. Today, those countries go to China for money. And that is because the Chinese know what they carry. And that is why they've been able to go through that transformation to get to where they are. In one lifetime, China has been transformed from one of the poorest countries in the world to either the first or second richest country in the world. So what that says is that you're focused, you're determined, good leadership, you can get there. So that is know what you carry. Now, how do you now begin to navigate your way through? The way I did it is in my professional area. So I joined my professional body, which is the District Society of Chartered Accountants. And I got involved in the committee. And from being involved in the committee, I'm now going to be the president. So you've got to get involved. Now, was there racism when I joined it? Of course, because they were all white. But I didn't let that faze me, because I knew what I carried, and I carry. I make sure I got the message across to them and ensured that I changed their perception. And that is really what happens, is once you know what you carry and you start to get into the rooms, people will understand that, yes, these people do have something. So that's one of the things that I did. I leveraged my professional experience to get there. So some of you, if you're in any professional body, join it. If there's any committees going, be part of it. The only way to play football is if you're on the pitch. Those of us who watch, we just watch and talk about it. For those who play, whether it's Division 1, Division 2, Premiership, La Liga, or whatever, they play. So if you want to play, or you either decide whether you want to play or you want to watch. If you want to watch, you can stand on the sideline and admire and complain and strategize. But if you want to play, you got to get on the field And how you get on the field is I took my professional experience and I went in. I also looked at the different instruments of government or governance in this country. And that's why I talked to you about the school governor, and I talked to you about the parish council. So wherever you are in your area, Coventry, I don't know what's happening in South Korea. I can't really advise on that. But for those in the UK, school governors, they can't get enough. Find a school where you are and become a school governor, right? If you have the time, these are free, these are voluntary positions. But these voluntary positions are very key offices because the school governors are the ones who recruit the teacher, recruit the head teacher, who recruits the other teachers. So if you're a school governor, you're involved in the governance of your local schools, and you begin to build relevance when you do that. So that may seem to you as some kind of a byproduct or something on the side, but no, it's a means to an end, because you have to explore the institutions, the organs that this country has to be able to attain or navigate your way through those offices. So and that's how I did it. I became a school governor. For those who had time, you can become the chair of the governors. When you're the chair of the governors, you're very relevant locally. Parents know you as well, and you begin to widen your network. For those of you who have parish and town councils, because it depends on where you are, be part of it. Again, these are voluntary positions, but they're very key positions, right? Local government, money comes from central to local to parish. District council, you get elected for that. But it's because I joined the parish council that people recognized me, remembered me, and they told me to come and become a councillor. They actually approached me to become a councillor. And that is how that has happened for me. So what I'm saying this is that you have to, wherever you are, you need to first study the lie of the land, and understand what are the drivers. How do things work in this area? You're going to have to sacrifice your own time. And that is where the sacrificial aspect of it. So don't look at it as a cost. Look at it as a seed that you're sowing into your future. Not just your future, because most of you are here, your children, you've migrated here. You're here now. You're now sowing not just into your future, but your children's future, your children's future, so that they can have a better life. The other thing I would urge people, and you think about it, but again, this will depend on your budget, really. But there are scholarships and things. Go and study it's called the public school here. The private schools. Yeah, the private schools. If you can, put your kids through private schools. If you can. If not, look for the best schools in your area. Because I tell you one thing, the education system has a naturally, I don't want to say naturally defined, but it segregates the chaff from the wheat. Where I was a school governor, I can tell you that I can predict 20 years' time where the kids that went to that school will be, because their parents and their parents' parents that live in that area, because they're local schools and they live in that neighborhood, are going to serve, they are what I call the underclass. They are going to continue to serve the upper class. That's just the way it is. That's how this country is structured. So you need to understand that. And that's why when you put your children to school, and I'm talking to those who have just come over, who, because of budgetary constraints and things like that, might feel that, let me go for the least expensive area. You go for the least expensive area, you go for the least schools, and you're sacrificing your children's future. So know that word local school, look at your locality and understand this type of schools there. And if you can, it's better to have the worst house on the best road than the best house on the worst road. Think about that. That for those who can't afford to go through the private school system, you have to seriously think about where you locate yourselves because of the sake of your children's education. And you can begin to influence that by becoming a school governor, by being seen, and that should help you. So in navigating this discrimination, that's why this for me are the insights. This is how I have done it, right? Is I've used these instruments, but I wish I had started to use this 20 years ago instead of 5-7 years ago. But so some of you have the opportunity to do that now, and please begin to build on that. So that would be my answer to addressing the elephant in the room. In terms of mentorship, yes, we all need mentors. We need allies. In your place of work, you can look for somebody who you think can be and approach them and tell them that's exactly what you want from them. People are ready. This one thing I know about this country is that they want to help. You just need to approach them. So in the NHS, identify who you think and join up with them. Tell them you want them to be your mentor. Because let me tell you, if those of you in paid employment, you need a mentor to guide you through that landscape. So you need to find one. The way I look at it is like snakes and ladders. You need somebody to pull you up the ladder rather than get up the ladder and lift the ladder away from you. So I hope I've addressed that question or that comment from you, Mozo. I'm seeing other things in here, so I don't know how you want to take them because there are quite a few comments and questions that I see.
Yes,
so
sir.
I don't know if you've got the order of questions or comments and you're following through the order, but I'll leave that to you to tell me how you want to do that.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering the question, which was quite insightful. I think the first question we have here is from Dr. Ayoto, who says, "Thank you very much, sir. Please, how did you manage childcare, work, family balance in the early stages of your career?"
That's a very, very good question. It wasn't easy. We tried different things. We had au pairs, so you have this, I don't think I need to explain about au pair, but they come from Europe primarily, and they're looking for work experience. They live with you, and they can help to support you between 9 to 5. Excuse me. We were fortunate enough to have 1 or 2 nannies who lived in with us, helped us look after our children. But it wasn't easy in the early days. So we spent a lot of money on taxis and taking them to childcare, leaving work to go back. So there's no silver bullet for that, for childcare. You just have to find a way to deal with it. If you are fortunate or able to bring somebody from Nigeria, from overseas, and you're able to fund it, then you can. If not, you can get an au pair. If not, you can get, you can use the, there are also people who offer childcare services. So we tried everything. And it wasn't until we actually had somebody who lived in that it made things easy for us. But, the days when I'll be taking my son to childcare, in the snow, running to catch the bus, and would slip and fall, trying to not to miss the bus. So these are all the experiences of life. There's no silver bullet to deal with childcare, really. You've got to depend on your budget. If your budget extends to being able to bring somebody over, then that is the ultimate, of course. If not, you have to explore the childcare facilities in this country. I don't know, now that we've Brexited, I don't know what the rules are on bringing in au pairs. I think there's people still use that. And if your pocket is very, very, very within this country as well, but there's no, you just have to juggle it.
All right, thank you so much for that answer. The next question is from Wale, and he's asking for your opinion on volunteering, active participation in community and networking events, putting yourself up for service where possible, and exploring where non-Brits won't dare to explore for career, business, and political opportunities can be helpful. I think it's touched a bit upon that, but you can, if you don't mind to probably expand on that somehow.
Okay, I mean, I think you will see that my experience to date encompasses all of that. So I believe in volunteering. Volunteering is a foundation, is a pillar in this country. So wherever you get the opportunity to volunteer, I would say take it. When you're a school governor, you're volunteering. When you're a parish council, you're volunteering. Even as a district councillor, there's a volunteering aspect of that, because you only get a meager allowance as a councillor. It's the civil servants who get paid the big bucks when you're a councillor, when you're in local government. We councillors, we just get a meager allowance, and everything we do is very transparent. You know, I tell people, if you're interested how much I earn as a councillor, I think it's probably just over £700 a month. So, and I don't know how anybody is expected to live on that kind of money. I think 750 or so. So you got to be able to do something else, or you retired and you have other income. But I'm saying that because volunteering is one of the ways to get into the fabric of this nation. And when you say to go to where non-Brits won't dare to explore, I think the short answer for that is yes. Really, you've got to go to. There's some people who tell you that I will speak Yoruba because I don't know how to translate it. That basically means that, you know, if you're looking for money, and I think there's something in the Bible that talks about honey in the mouth of a lion or something like that. Was it the lion that went to look after honey? But anyway, the honey was close to the lion or something like that, you know. So it means that if you want to get something that's very sweet, very enjoyable, you've got to be daring to get there. And so as a non-Brit, by non-Brit, I assume you mean ethnic minority. Yes, you have to go the extra mile. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. You have to be ready to go the extra mile. And that is where you must know what you carry, and you must believe in yourself. And you must understand that it's means to an end. When I graduated from university, most of my classmates who wanted to do chartered accountancy, they all got contracts. They were all celebrating their contracts. And, you know, each one was happy. They all knew where they were going. I didn't know where I was going when I graduated. I didn't know if I was ever going to make it as a chartered accountant. But my circuitous route to get into chartered accountancy tells you that, therefore, you have to go to where sometimes these people will not dare to. So they all got big jobs, going to the city. I had to go and spend 1.5 years doing ACCA. Then I think I worked for about 6 months before I ended up in Brighton, and then back in the city of London. So it's a bit like the journey of the Israelites. You know, it should have taken 40 days, but it took 400 years. But we all talk about the Israelites now when we talk about the Bible. People don't forget that it took them 400 days, or 410 or 20 or 30, depending on who's calculating it, to get to their promised land. You know, but that's life. So yes, you have to be ready. All those things, you have to be ready to go to explore those areas. But not exploring those areas as an underclass, but you need to explore those areas as a means to an end. So again, be focused on where you want to go. Okay, yes, it's a means to an end, absolutely. And any more?
I'm a professional accountant. For those that in the accounting, the one that starts balancing.
Okay,
somebody needs to be muted.
How you balance
Oh, can't hear that.
There's some ethics and some ethical
Who's
attitude.
Oluwatosin? Who's Oluwatosin? Okay, it's been muted. Okay. Yes, who's that there? One size doesn't fit all. Roots and journey differ. Yes, I agree.
All right.
Okay.
So okay, thank you so much for sharing once more. I also have another question. So
Okay.
can you share your experience where you faced professional setback and how you were able to recover and move forward?
When I face professional setback, how do I recover and move forward? Well, the way I look, there are many setbacks along this journey, but I just look at them as stepping stones. So when when I qualified as a chartered accountant, and I came to Reading and I joined the company called Thames Water, and I worked for Thames Water, and I had a very difficult boss. Yeah. I had a direct report who wanted the position, and seriously undermined my route. And she was able to get away with it because her husband was on the operations board of the company. But in my youthful exuberance, I left Thames Water, and but what I did with that, I said to myself, look, I got to keep my options open. This is where I said, you've got to have a clear plan as well. And I came to Nigeria and did my youth corps. So when I finished my youth corps, I came back to the UK, and I picked up, I started to do some contracting work. And in the course of doing that, I ended up being in the world of SAP consultant. So those of you who are in IT or who in finance, or even general, you might have come across SAP. It's an enterprise package. And that was a real eye-opener. I mean, that really was fantastic opportunity for me. And at that time, they were looking for chartered accountants to pivot into systems implementation. And I embarked on that journey, really, because I always saw chartered accountancy as a stepping stone, as a means to an end. I didn't go into chartered accountancy to practice. I went into it to develop business skills and then move out into commerce and industry. So for me, it seemed a natural progression. So that was how I dealt with that setback. So building a good career, I was, very high profile. I was working for KPMG. I was implementing big systems. As a young man, you feel that, yeah, you're conquering the world. You're badass. Everybody, you're shopping in Selfridges. You're doing all those things. And then I joined the company, and then I got made redundant. So that was a real shock to the system. And yeah, it took a while to get over that shock because it came from quite a high. And the reason that happened was, they just shut down the company. It was a startup. We all had shares in the company, and we were all excited for the future. We were owned by what has now become National Grid. But at that time, the telecoms industry had gone belly up. So there was a merger transaction that two companies were looking at. And one of the conditions of that merger was they had to shut down the telecoms business that I was a part of. And they just shut it down. That was it. So when you say decisions are made about you when you're not in the room, we certainly went in the room. The powers that be decided that they were going to shut the business down, paid us off, of course, but it just came so suddenly. And that business, and this is where sometimes you need to speak to people and you need to open your mind. That business was sold for £1. That business is what has become the backbone for with 3G, 4G, 5G in the UK, because we laid fiber right across the UK, and that company is what is the backbone of what is now 3. 3 is built on the backbone of the company which is called 186K, which is where we were, and somebody bought that company for £1. So somebody has clearly made a lot of money from that. You know, if I'd had a few friends, those who bought the company, because we were not in the room, so we had no idea. So again, it comes back to what I said about being in the room, but I digress, because the question really is about how did you navigate that way. But the lesson that I've learned from that is keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities. They sometimes come coded, and you just have to ask the Holy Spirit to share it with you. With hindsight, you know, we could have taken on that business, and you know, today, you never know. Or again, I could be dead, so you don't know. So that's how I dealt with that setback. And with that, when that happened to me, I decided to go to Nigeria. My sister would know, and I worked and I went and I joined the company called RT Briscoe. For those of us who know about Nigeria, which is one of the big PLCs in Nigeria, that was in need of a turnaround, and I was part of the turnaround team that went in there. And that turnaround experience has been the backbone of everything that I've done from that point till today, because the experience that I garnered from that, the networks, the connections, understanding the world of private equity, of investment, of business, of operations, of hiring, of firing, how to get your hands dirty when necessary in running a business, combined with my skills in systems implementation, has put me into a lot of rooms in this country. It's that experience that took me into government. It's that experience that I use when I'm sitting on boards in this country. So you don't allow the setback to set you back. You must think. As I said earlier, you got to look for the silver lining in that cloud. Never look at a setback. It's only a setback if you don't go beyond it. The righteous one falls how many times? But they must rise up. So don't look at setbacks just look at them as opportunities to rise up and be stronger. There's no success story in this world that doesn't have hundreds of setbacks behind it. Setback is the stepping stone to success. Really, that's the way I look at it, because you learn from that experience. So that's my view.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We have another question from Marcelina, and she's asking, what advice would you give to someone who just graduated a master's degree and is really considering moving back to Nigeria?
Well, my first question would be why? What is the why? I don't know why they want to move back or what their plans are. They must, if it's in their 5-year cycle and that's part of their plan, then to go back, maybe they have to go back. Then they have to look for the cloud, for the silver lining in that cloud. Somebody who I worked with, he to finish his master's, couldn't find a job here, and went back to the UK. And long story short, he ended up being the principal private secretary for the governor of Oyo State at the time. And of course, that experience catapulted him into the limelight in various areas, and it was been a stepping stone. He was a lawyer, or he's a lawyer, and that really opened up his network, and he was able to achieve more than when he was here in the UK. So if you're considering moving back to Nigeria, pray, make sure that's what is, then go for it. What is her master? He said, what's her master's in what?
A I think she mentioned it up here. And it's Marcelina, you can also unmute and speak. Yeah, earlier she mentioned that she just graduated from project and masters in project and
Oh, she
operations
did?
management.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, masters in project and operations management.
Okay, masters in projects and operations management. Well, that's a good skill to have. There's going to be lots of projects, lots of things going on in Nigeria. So the question is whether you want to be government or private sector, and whether you have a job or not to go into, and where do you want to locate yourself when you're in Nigeria. So there's so many questions that need to be answered as part of that plan. But the key thing I would say is see what you want in your mind's eye, and you will get it. Wherever it is. If Nigeria is where you're destined to be, Nigeria is where you make it.
So just like many of
Okay.
you, when I first relocated,
Sorry? Is that Marcelina?
Okay, I'm not sure who that was.
Okay. I thought maybe it was Marcelina wanted to say something.
So Marcelina, are you following up with an audio? Okay, right. If she's not speaking up, if anybody wants to speak, like ask a question, just raise your hand, use the function, and then we would recognize and then line you up to ask questions. So Fumi, who typed in a question, is also raising her hand up. So you can unmute and ask your question for me.
Thank you, host, and good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, the same question I put in the group chat, in the chat box, I mean, it's the same question I want to ask. I just feel, well, it's quite not too long that I came in, and I have been a teacher all my life in Nigeria for over 20 years, and I felt my passion for the same field, I wouldn't want to change for anything, even though I did a bit of supported work here and there. But at the moment, I work in a college. I started as an assistant teacher last year, and God being good, this year I was offered a full-time job from September. But sometimes I feel intimidated. I just need to be sincere with myself. I feel people do not really understand me. I feel I have to repeat myself sometimes with my colleagues before they could make sense of whatever I say. And though some of them try to make me feel good, I'll put it that way, because when I asked one for a sincere opinion about it, she said, well, she felt I was clear, then I keep getting better on a daily basis. But sometimes when I'm speaking with the students, I feel they weren't listening or they were not really understanding me. It's a good school. I need to give them kudos for that. They've got policies in place that does not make teachers feel they are being talked down or something. Well, I just want to ask, do you have issue with accent at some point? Do you feel people were not really listening, or they do listen and probably they do not understand you? And how were you able to overcome that? And when you said something about governorship, I've had that privilege twice in my children's schools because they are very good academically, and I put in for it. I couldn't see it through because I was not sure I'll be able to head it out. I don't know how to explain that better. I was in a meeting with the principal, one of my children in the secondary school. I was in a meeting with the principal, and she was like, "Oh, that's good." She organized another meeting, and all of them were white as well. So instead of me putting up the confidence I started with, I was looking at these people do not really understand what I was saying. I put down my aim, what I intended achieving with the children, and later I packed out again. even before the election, before no other person nominated himself or herself to be the governor at that moment. So I still did not follow through. I don't know. Did you feel that way at some point? If yes, how were you able to overcome that anxiety? Like, are these people really, do they really understand me? Because I just hate the fact that I had to repeat myself sometimes before they could make sense of what I was saying.
Yeah, thank you, Fumi, for that. I think you're not alone in that experience. I think we all, at some point in our lives, have been subjected to what to call code switching. I think isn't that the phrase, that you find yourself trying to adapt to the people that are around you. You know, you want to get rid of your accent. You want to, you want to anglicize your name. We've all done it. But I come back to what I've said about know what you carry. My experience with the Royal Berkshire Hospital here is simply because of my name and my accent. That's really what is, the driver behind it. But I'm not bothered in the least. And I will tell you that you cannot afford to be bothered in the least. You can't change your accent overnight, so don't worry about it, right? You spoke to me just now, and there's nothing wrong with the way you speak. You have to just simply believe in yourself, right? You have been teaching for, I think you said for, I didn't quite remember how many years. So you've got a lot of experience. If you think you're speaking too fast, one thing I would say is, we speak fast, so slow down. But don't worry about your accent, because you can't change it. Speak slowly and then speak clearly. Some of these people are quite naughty. They actually do hear you, but they just want to mock you. And they want to sometimes just undermine your own undermine you, make you, intimidate you. And once you start feeling intimidated, you're already on the back foot. So for me, I would tell you, you have to just believe in yourself. Know that, educate them. Let them, you have to impose your knowledge on them, right? And I'll share with you two things why it's important to impose your knowledge on them. The first one was when I was training in Brighton. Now, typically one of the things we do in accountancy, because we do our work in files, audit files. So when you finish work on the file, you go on to the following year, you put supersede on the file, so this file has been superseded. So this firm in Brighton that has been in existence maybe before I was born didn't know how to spell supersede. So they spell supersede SUPERCEED. So I looked at the file and they said, look, B, when you get there, even me at one time, I changed my name. My full name is Akin B, because I didn't like the way they were calling me B. I changed it to Akin, but at the end of the day, I came back to B because I just thought, sod all of you. If you can't call me, that's your own problem. You must learn to call my name. So anyway, I spelled supersede the correct way, SUPERSEDE. And they started arguing with me. So I said, go and open the dictionary. And they did. And they looked at it and they saw they were wrong. And the manager then, I never forget his words. He said, well, what do you know? A black man coming all the way over from Nigeria to teach us how to spell. I said, yes, I learned English. You didn't. So from that day, I made a mark as somebody who could speak. And so when there was any doubt, they would come and check. So you have to impose your will on these people. The second time was when I was a school governor, because I'm not a school governor now. And we were part of this academy, and they were making, this academy was taking us through many things. So some of the other governors, a bit timid in their comments, because basically everybody was unhappy. So when it was my time to speak, I broke it down for them. So I took them from, when you know what you know, and I explained, I made my case, explained it, presented it in this accent, with this voice, and everybody kept quiet. And then I think it's the chief executive officer, said something. And again, you have to be sensitive to what these people say. He said, wow, what a very articulate presentation. Now, you would clap your hands and think, fantastic, I did well. But yes, I did well. But the reason he said that was because he didn't expect a Black person to be able to speak like that. And from that day on, he never forgot me. He invited me to come and join appeal panels and things like that. In the end, I had to tell them where to go. But the point is, you have to find a way, and only you know what that way is, to impose your knowledge on them, so that accent or no accent, color or no color, they know that this person, this man, this woman is good in this area. And that would be my advice to you. But with what you said about being a school governor, well, that's a sacrifice you have to make. If you can't find time, you got to make time, because it's a means to an end. Yes, Fumi, you speak well, absolutely. So please, don't let anybody intimidate you otherwise, that you don't speak well. They're the ones who have the problem. If you think you're speaking too fast, just slow down a bit. But there's nothing wrong with the way you speak. And coming back to that thing about name, when people don't pronounce my name properly, I correct them. And I continue to correct them until they get it right. And most people now, when you log on, if it's a call or they meet you for the first time, the smart ones will first ask you, how do you pronounce your name? See, the one that makes the assumption that they don't know how to pronounce your name, those are the ones you need to watch. Because those are the arrogant ones. Those are the ones who already formed an opinion about you. And if they're not pronouncing your name correctly, you know that this person is going to be a troublemaker for me. That's my own policy. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't care. But if you can't pronounce my name properly, you're on the back foot. Those who say, oh, yes, how do I pronounce your name? I tell them, we engage. Please, your name, you were born, they spent 7 days or 8 days, you were named. There's a big ceremony around your naming. Many people were part of that naming ceremony, right? Which they don't have here. So please, don't allow anybody. It's a lesson that I've learned. Is don't allow anybody to mispronounce your name. Educate them. Let them understand, this is my name. My name has a meaning. If you don't pronounce it properly, you change the meaning of my name. So it's important that you get it right. You have to impose your will, and your name is where you start. Good. I like that. I know one of my friend's father, if you can't pronounce his name, so and he's a businessman, so anybody who wanted to do business with him must learn to pronounce his name. And he said, if I can learn to pronounce your name, whether it's James, whatever your name is, and you must learn to pronounce my name. Nobody has a monopoly on it. So that's my own position when it comes to name. That's it, Moyo. Anything else?
All right. I think we might be ending this session soon, or we might have one more room for one question. But if there is no other one, I will just want to share the key takeaways that I've gotten from this insightful session. So once again, thank you, sir, for coming to share your wealth of experience. My key takeaway, no, my my top one is know what you carry. I mean, then talking about thinking in 5-year cycle, having a clear vision, and also wanting to make a difference, and also volunteering in different capacities. Marcelina is wants to speak now, so I will just Marcelina, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Moyo. Good afternoon, sir. I'd like
Good
to first
afternoon.
apologize for being mute. I couldn't respond because of where I was. So, however, I listened to your response, and I'm grateful for the response. So the why, when I was coming to UK, what was in my head was just to come for my master's and then make up my mind while I'm here. And at some point, I thought of staying, but the lifestyle, the racism, I think I want to believe I'm also a racist. Oh. And I thought to myself, why should I go through all of this? We're back home. I'm comfortable enough. I'm not where I want to be. But you said something about believing in yourself, knowing who you are, and knowing what you carry. I know what I carry. In my head, I'm thinking, why am I coming to a no man's land and being treated the way I'm being treated? We're back at home. I've got all the respect and I can achieve everything that I put my mind to achieve. Also, you said something that really struck me, and even when for like your years of experience, you keep going back home. So it's there, it's a known thing that your network is not just here in UK. Back at home in Nigeria, you still got that network running. So I guess that's the major reason I'm just thinking, why don't I go back to Nigeria? Yes, there's a lot I can achieve here when I put my mind to it and really work hard at getting it. At the same time, I could do that from Nigeria and still be able to network and travel down there to get business done. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Marcelina, thank you for that. And I totally get what you're saying. And these are debates that you will have continuously. But you've got to ensure that you seek God's position on this, because you've got to be in the right location that is going to work for you. Whether it's here, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's somebody's in South Korea, that's between you and God and the Holy Spirit. So you need to be clear on that. All these other, don't listen to the noises around you. There's noise, right? This is not our home country. So this is a foreign land. Whether you want to accept it or not, this is a foreign land. My sister would remember that our late grandmother would, used to say, that when you go to places like this, you have gone to a foreign land. So you have to be patient about with your experience, because it is a foreign land to us. So we need to learn how to survive, which is why we're talking today, how we're going to survive in what is started out as a foreign land and has become home for some of us and become home for our children, certainly be home for our children and even our children's children. But it has started out as a foreign land. And Abraham too had to go somewhere before he could make it. And he had to tarry at a place because he was instructed to. So whether you go, whether you tarry, that's not something that I can advise you on. But in terms of what you talked about, your network, yes, clearly, you have network there, you have network here. But the most important thing is, where do you want to be for you to operate and fulfill destiny? I know some people who were at a point where, should I go, should I stay? And you know. Hello, sorry for that. You know, people shouting in the background. I had to cut them out. Yeah. So you just have to know which is the right location for you. That is the most important thing I would say. And that you need to pray, you need to consult. It's important that you seek the voice of the Holy Spirit on the right location for you. Because that's where you're going to prosper. Because Nigeria will have its own challenges, here will have its own challenges. I will just leave it at that, because don't let the noises that you're seeing and experiencing now determine where you want to be. Focus on what the Holy Spirit is going to tell you. That's the right way to go.
Thank you, sir.
You're
welcome.
All right. At this point, I would want to invite Reverend Teju, who is the visionary behind SafeHouse and the Winning in the Land. She has a calling to support international students and also young people to into discipleship and also to thrive around the world. So you have the floor, ma.
Thanks, Moyo. First of all, I'm not the one that's the visionary. I'm just busy supporting my husband and I got caught up in it. Bros, that was amazing. Thank you. I'm sure some of you have gathered that that's my big brother. And it's such a privilege to hear his story. I know it in bits. And Bros, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you in your busy schedule that you've had time to talk to us. And I want to explain why is a church, the iChapel Coventry, going out of his way to establish international students in the land. It's because, like Ross said, Councillor B. Oloko, you need to know what you carry. Some of you don't know what you carry. And whether you believe it or not, the Lord spoke to my husband, who is an international apostle, not just national in Nigeria, and said, you have to come to the UK. Now, the UK is the last place that my husband would have wanted to come to. He went to an American school. We go in and out of America ever so often. We also we're going in and out of UK ministry. And then the Lord started speaking to us. We're actually on 36 states, media-wise, and also internationally from Nigeria. And we're having an awesome time. My husband is a reformer. Anytime we travel, he'll be like, how do we do this in Nigeria? How do we build this in Nigeria? Then the Lord speaks to him and says, you have to come to the UK. You have to come. And one of the reasons why, there are threefold reasons, I just want to focus on one, is that you need to tell the international students what they carry, especially in Christ. Bros, I was going to ask you that what role has faith played in you being established in this land? And you already spoke about it. And so I don't need to, in answering that wonderful sister's question. And so I'm just, part of the team that's supporting my husband, Bishop Bob Alunge, who is the senior pastor of iChapel Coventry. And when the Lord sent us here in 2018, the Lord also spoke to us, because we're going to be setting up an international school in Cambridge, that we needed to learn the educational system. Right now, my husband is doing a PhD in digital chaplaincy because God has given us that focus on establishing the media for him. And it's something that we've been on for a while, that we've been doing. And he's going to be concluding next year by the grace of God. But in the midst of that, the Lord actually said, apart from you going to university for these reasons, we're also going to be setting up a Christian university in Abuja in future. One of the reasons why you're here is let the international students know who they are in Christ. In Christ, and also, can I say, outside Christ? Because God will use anyone. And international students that come here from different parts of the world, especially from Africa, when you understand who you are, when you understand that you are called to be a change agent, you know, Bros was just saying it. You want to make a difference. It's more than the grades. It's more than the money. Bros, you know, if you ask all the students that are from iChapel, from SafeHouse Faith Family, that's focused on mentoring students, and we've been doing that. My husband had a media program free, Bros, free, so that people could develop their media skills. It took a while for us to get the international students to connect because, and I do understand, they have to work to be able to make money, to be able to pay for this, and some for their fees, some for their living expenses. These are real. But I kept on telling them, I said, in the midst of all of that, just volunteer for 1 hour in a school nearby. Just volunteer somewhere else. I said, this is the way to get into the land. Moyo, confirm yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Moyo, you yourself, have you volunteered anywhere? Praise the Lord, somebody, apart from church. And it's wonderful to volunteer in church, but we want to be established in the land. Jesus was the first to take the gospel to the streets. And if you see, if you as a Christian see that your volunteering is not just for being established in the land, but carrying Christ to the streets, because when they see how well you do your volunteering and they hear about Jesus, they would listen. And I told them, I said, look, I learned this by chance, because just like, you know, my brother said, we came here, we're focused on church and all that. And then the Lord started speaking to me about volunteering, but I didn't take it seriously. Then I had to take our daughter to a Christian school 30 minutes away. And I noticed that there were problems there. And being an educator, I decided to volunteer for 1 day. The next minute, they were asking me to volunteer for 2 days, and they were ready to pay. Now, we're handling a lot, especially from Nigeria. And I have to say here that my brother has been so critical. He's a partner of the ministry. He's a member, like he reminds me, when he was in Nigeria, he was a member. He's a partner of the ministry, and I can call on him anytime. And he has, just because of the grace upon him, he will just take our story and make it relevant so we can fit in to things that are here. And when he spoke to me for just 1 hour, I went to get my children. I was writing, I was like, wow. And that's when the idea of this seminar came, that if it's possible, and I said, Ross, with your busy schedule, could you just speak to us? Whether it's in branding, oh my goodness. I mean, he just took our profile. He designed it. Even me, I knew it made more sense than what was there before, because of how God has given him the grace. And when he was telling me about how they came to pick him, ask him to be a counselor, he was leading a prayer with us recently, when the Lord spoke to my heart that is an international student. It didn't dawn on me. He has a story to tell. Even the way he took the prayer, Moyo can remember. It was like, whoa, he was giving us statistics, how UK is a giver and all that. And it was amazing. If you want to hear that the prayer that he took, and please feel free to ask us for the link. And he said, yes, I'll do it. We've been working on this for over a month, and thank you so much. And so back to the volunteering. I volunteered for 2 days. The next thing, they asked me to be a governor. I didn't want to be a governor. By the time I became a governor, I was like, what? Without much ado, I was able to invite people into the UK from being a governor. It's a place of making impact. And I've been telling people, get involved in being in schools. Go, just start with 1 hour. Let it be more than, and I know, like I said, the pressure is there, but let it be more than just the money. And when you get it, like he was saying, build Nigeria. It's a part of him. Not only is he building Nigeria, he made his daughter build Nigeria. His family, they are building Nigeria. You know? And so I just want to thank you, Bros, for saying it the way it is. And I want us to, leave here. Understand this is why we had this meeting. Appreciate, we call him Lord Mo. Lord Mo, thank you. You've done wonderful moderation. There are people in the background. We have Joy. She was the one that helped to set up because I had an issue with my car and I had to go and sort it out. So I wasn't here to set up. Thank you, Joy, for all that you've done. And thank you, one of our chaplains, Chaplain Emeka. Thank you. Thank you. And so I want to really encourage you, know what you carry. And when the Lord spoke to my husband, I almost forgot that. He said, go and tell the international students that they have something. They have something to offer globally, not just in UK. UK will be a starting point. You have something to offer globally, but you need your skills to be upgraded. Here in the UK, take advantage of the training. Don't get caught up in just, oh, let me just make money. Get involved. You heard him. Involve yourself in a professional association. Hone your skills. Did you hear what he said? He looked for the polytechnic that had 100%. It was difficult, but he honed his skills. And he's a chartered accountant par excellence, a business development manager. When he talks, people listen. He took advantage of this training that you can get here. When you allow the training in the UK to get into you, regardless of the racism, like he said, look, I'm here to learn and to be lifted globally. May you have global vision in the name of Jesus. That's what the Lord showed my husband, our Bishop Bob Alunge, that may you see that God wants to use you globally, not just UK, to the ends of the earth. And as he lifts you up, he knows you will lift up Christ because Christ is inside of you. He wants to, like you heard, the Holy Spirit wants to help you. But you have to, what do you see? If you are just here, I just want to get by, it's okay to start with a care job, but please don't stay there. Do the skills that are necessary. If you came into Nigeria as a banker, you want to be a banker here, find out, how can I become a banker here? What do I need to get? Go back. Even if you have to work as a caregiver for some time, take extra classes. Am I communicating to someone? Even if you think your English isn't so good, take extra classes. Get involved in the community. Volunteer, connect yourself. These are things that we're not used to from the culture in Nigeria or from whichever country you're coming from, especially in Africa. But here, this is what works, like we've heard said over and over again. And so that's why we're having this seminar. That's one of the reasons why we're having why we're called the SafeHouse Faith Family for international students. We have mentoring sessions every week. Individually, we teach about academic writing that some of us had problem getting into, so that you can make those wonderful grades without paying someone, without doing AI and all that. If AI does your work for you, how will you learn? AI can't do all the work for you. When you start to speak, will AI speak for you? You have to learn the skills, and the skills will lift you. You are appointed for global excellence. Even from Nigeria, you are appointed for global excellence. That's why the Lord sent our bishop here. That's why we're having this program. And I pray that something from what he has shared with you has stuck and said, look, I'm going to start seeing myself a global leader. He will tell you he's a global leader now. Brother B is a global leader now. He's representing in Uzbekistan, I can't pronounce the thing very well, America and all that. That is your portion. And God knows that. And he will also tell you he's a deacon, he's a minister. I mean, I love hearing him preach. I don't know when next is preaching. You can find out and connect. And he knows how to make it practical. Bros, you've been such an awesome blessing. Thank you again. And on behalf of my husband and I, and all the members of the SafeHouse Faith family, your your extended family, so to speak, here in the UK, you have been just simply amazing. Thank you.
I wanted to just thank you very much for that. I just wanted to just say something, because you mentioned something which I think I should have touched upon about what you carry. Now, some of you may or may not be involved in any businesses in Nigeria or whichever country of origin. I know somebody talked about being a teacher, and I've been there for 20 years or so. I can't remember how long. But if you're in business or you have some relevant skills, please don't think because you're in this country, therefore you should what's the word I'm looking, subsume, hide those businesses. That is part of who you are or what you carry. There's somebody I know who has a business that I think it must probably employs about 100 people, certainly at least contractors. And he's coming here and he's looking for other things. I said the starting point is you are a global business. So your story is that you run a business and you have subsidiaries or you have operations in Africa. So you have to be careful about how you con your story. Your business experience, what you're doing, where you come from is part of your story. So please make sure you don't downplay that experience or that business or that strength, because it is part of your makeup. If you downplay it, you are already weakening yourself. You must be able to speak about your experience, because in this country, there are not many people who would have that experience that you have. So you are by virtue of being here, you're already global, because you're already international, you're already global. You have a global experience. We have people who work in local government in this area. For those who know this area, who have never been beyond Junction 12, and where the office is Junction 13 of the M4, and yet there are officers working in local government. So not to talk of somebody like you, who has worked in Africa, who has worked in Nigeria, who has got a different outlook. So please, that is very, very important. That experience, that outlook is part of your makeup. Don't downplay it, but just know how you position that story, because it is part of your story. That's what I wanted to say, because I think many of us sometimes tend to think, that's Nigerian experience, let me just hide it. No. It's an African experience, and Africa is flavor of the month right now. So please bring out your African experience. It's part of what makes you unique. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for sharing your insights. And I know everybody, or let me speak for everybody, also found it quite insightful. I think let's show our appreciation to Councillor B or Loco with any kind of reactions, thumbs up, likes. Oh, no, not that one. On the chat functions, and then we deeply appreciate you sharing your story with us. I think one thing for me personally is your word has taken root in my mind and seed in my mind to also volunteer. I shared a link about how to become a school or college governor. So if you find that useful, you can just engage with that. Also earlier, Wale was also able to share a link about an event in community leadership opportunity. So you can also engage with that. And if you are in the West Midlands, I would also want us to connect with the community. I'm posting our link to the Facebook for SafeHouse Facebook community and also the email. And don't forget, if you also want to connect with Councillor B, he posted his email earlier, which I will repost again for those that just joined. All right. So at this junction, I think we can end this webinar with I think overshot the time. If any last word from Reverend? Thank you. I think you just came in. Okay now. So thank you so much.
I'm happy we overshot the time. We were able to take all that we needed to take. People asked awesome questions. Anybody was free to leave anytime they wanted.
All right.
Ross, thank you again.
Thank you so much. So that's the link again.
You're welcome.
For the leadership opportunity, and I would enjoin all of us to connect with the SafeHouse community, and we will definitely also be sharing future opportunities about this kind of engagement, and definitely if Councillor B also wants to still connect with us. Especially
why won't he connect with us? He's part of us. He gave it. He said he's connected on LinkedIn. Connect with him.
Okay.
He's my brother. I know him. Connect with him.
All right. Okay. Yes. So please connect on LinkedIn as well. Let me see if I can quickly dig out his LinkedIn profile and share. Just right. Okay. All right. Okay, I think you can just search for his name. My internet is not as sharp as I want, but I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody in SafeHouse and on behalf of all the online guests, on behalf of Senior Pastor Bishop Bob Alonge and Adetejo Alonge. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring us with your insights, with your various strategies, and we say we thank you. God continue to bless you. God continue to increase your influence across the land in the mighty name of Jesus. And at this junction, I would like to say bye to everyone. He has also been gracious to share his LinkedIn profile as well. I will definitely connect immediately. And at this junction, I say bye. This session is also available on, it was recorded and will be available via YouTube. If you connect to the community, it will be posted on there so you can access the insights that have been shared at your leisure again. So thank you and have a blessed weekend, everybody, and enjoy your bank holiday. Goodbye.
Thank you, Lord Mo. I love your glasses. Thank you so much, bros. Wow. Nuggets of truth.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
See you around. God
yes.
Bless. Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome. Please, I see those who are requesting for mentorship. Just connect to the group and would help you with mentorship. It's so exciting, hearing this story. If there's my brother, I didn't know it. Moya, you need to put it up again. And I'm so happy people are asking for mentorship. That's what it's all about. And it's just so exciting. It's been such an exciting time. Joy, are you going to show your face at all?
Happy birthday, Ma. We never had the opportunity to wish happy birthday. This is Bukola.
Oh,
happy birthday, Ma.
Thank you.
See you soon, Ma. Apologies. I've been so drained with dissertation, school stuff. I don't know that, but I will surely come over to SafeHouse very soon, Ma. I will come very soon.
So you know what? They got me 2 big cakes, and there's still one. Yeah.
Okay.
There's still one here, so I'm taking it to the SafeHouse. Just to share with anyone. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. In fact, I'm coming to SafeHouse right away. Right
I
away. I
know.
must not miss this spoke.
No, not today, tomorrow. I'm taking it. I had to bring it out of the freezer so
Okay,
that
ma.
it can store. I'm taking it to
Okay, ma.
SafeHouse tomorrow.
All
So
right. So see you tomorrow.
anytime you're able to come, I'll keep it in the freezer. And you
All
know
right.
what? Let me keep you informed. We're going to start what is called a community fridge. What is that
Okay,
about?
ma.
Basically, we're going to go to shops because
Okay.
the grocers have stuff that they need to get rid of
Okay,
that's
ma.
almost expired or
Okay.
could get spoiled. So they're looking for community fridge owners that will collect them.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, so we will now keep it in our fridge freezer, and then we'll just call you guys so that you save the money and use it for other things. It's just for a time and for a season.
Okay,
That
ma.
we have to watch the pound. Once you guys are
Mhm.
established, you'll be the ones doing it for other students that come in.
Exactly, absolutely.
That's what it's all
Okay.
about. We have to, to be there for one another. Like I said, that's the vision that the Lord
Okay, ma.
gave us, So please just watch out. We just tell you this has landed, this is in the fridge. Please come
Okay.
and clear it away. We want
I'll
as
come
many
tomorrow.
students.
We'll talk more about it because I would love to volunteer for that as well.
Oh,
So
that'll be
I'll come tomorrow.
We need a second volunteer. The work is too much for us. The harvest is too much.
I'll come over tomorrow. All right,
All
ma.
right, then I'll see
Bye
you.
bye, ma. See you soon.
Bye. Au
Bye, ma.
revoir. À bientôt. Bye,
Yes, ma'am.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon,
I
sir.
don't have the link to the leadership.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
is it the one on Eventbrite? The link, is
Yes,
it the
sir.
one on the Eventbrite? Is it Eventbrite or Eventbrite? Something. Where's that? I've checked. Check.